What's going on? NYJ Talk here. This is David, and today I'm going to be making a slightly different video than I normally do. This one's going to be kind of an overly optimistic goal, but something that, is within the realm of possibility that could happen. So today we're going to be talking about the New York Jets winning the Super Bowl, and not just in the future in 10 years, but this year, Super Bowl 56 in LA. And what it would actually take for them to do it. So, first and foremost, this team's going to have to go around Joe Flacco, because if the Jets pick up any more losses, which would be pretty much what we'd need to get to see Zach Wilson back out on the field, assuming Joe Flacco's playing well, then any losses is really going to hurt the chances of this hypothetical Super Bowl run, per se. So we're really going to have to be rooting for Joe Flacco to kind of pull a Kurt Warner-esque, where Kurt Warner had that really strong start to his career with the St. Louis Rams at the time, and won a Super Bowl with them, appeared in another one, which he lost to Tom Brady, Tom's first, of course. Anyway, after then kind of flaming out with the Rams, he then went to the Giants, was a backup there for a little bit, and then came back to Arizona out west and made it to the Super Bowl. Now, they did lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers, Big Ben's second ring, but they made it, and because of that run, that kind of pushed Kurt Warner into that Hall of Fame range, and he turned that into a Hall of Fame jacket at the end of the day. And if Flacco wants any kind of resonating career other than just being a long-term NFL quarterback, which is not anything small in any right, but if he wants that actual Hall of Fame jacket, per se, he really needs that second ring, and I think I've got a way for him to do it. So the New York Jets play the Miami Dolphins and the Texans as our next 2 weeks. Two very winnable games, in my opinion. I know the Dolphins were really strong versus the Ravens, but I think these are two winnable games for the Jets. And if they were to hypothetically win both, that would put the Jets at 4-7. Then we'd have a game against the Eagles, the team that let Joe Flacco go. So maybe there's a little bit of heart. Maybe he knows a little bit what's going on in that organization. It might be a grinded-out game, but if the Jets get the W, that would put us at 5-7. We then have a game versus the Saints, who've been very inconsistent versus bad teams this year. A lot of people would call the Jets a bad team, so maybe we'll get that one. I know that's a big deep breath, 4 wins in a row just to be 6-7. It's like we still have a losing record and we won 4 games in a row. That's crazy, but let's keep the heart going. Let's keep the optimism going. Following that Saints game, the Jets would have to go to Miami, another winnable game, and then versus the Jaguars. Now, if they can hang in there and win both of those games, win the games they're supposed to win, that would put them all the way at 8-7 after that game. The last 2 weeks are going to be really tough versus the Bucs and Bills, but the Bucs do have to come to the Jets, come to New York. You know how much hate there is for Tom Brady in that stadium, and the Bucs don't usually play that well in the cold weather, especially with it being that late in the season. It'd be very cold. So if there's a lot of Jets fans, and if we're 8-7 at that point, I think there's going to be a lot of fans there. Then let's say we get the W there. Then that takes us to at Buffalo. Now, as Jets fans may remember, the last good season that we had, or anything even close to it, was that 2015 magical run with Ryan Fitzpatrick, Brandon Marshall, and Eric Decker. And that was a great run, but it stalled out right there in Buffalo versus the Rex Ryan-led Bills. And the Jets lost that game, and it kind of turned the corner for them. The Jets haven't been good since. The Bills kind of started picking it up and improving afterwards. So it'll be very intriguing to see what happens there, but we're going to assume the Jets turn it around. We finally got that magic sauce, and let's say we beat the Bills and go 10-7. Now, you may be saying, well, there's still a lot of good teams in there. If we're looking at the playoffs today, we've got the Titans, Bills, Ravens, Chiefs, Steelers, Patriots, and Chargers in that order, with the Bengals, Raiders, and Colts all right there knocking on the door. Now, with that said, I think the Titans, Bills, Ravens, and Chiefs, those 4 are probably going to be your 4 home teams going into it. Now, the seedings may change around, but I think those are probably going to be your home teams in the playoffs, which leaves the Steelers, Patriots, and Chargers as the Jets' only real shot. And I don't really like their chances of beating out the Patriots with the 2 losses. The Chargers with Justin Herbert's been electric, so I think they're going to probably make it. The Steelers, however, that's the Jets' key. The Steelers tied with the Lions. I know they didn't have Big Ben, but even with him out there, their offense has not been that good. And so I could easily see the Steelers picking up some losses and say they're sitting there at 9-8 at the end of the year. Well, the Jets at 10-7 would be the ones squeaking in. And also another team that could kind of be there, the Bengals. The Jets have a head-to-head tiebreaker on. The Raiders look like I know they had that really strong start to the year, and they kind of bounced back a little bit after the John Gruden issues, but then the Henry Ruggs issues came up. And overall, I just think this franchise is kind of going to disappear by the end of the year. And I don't know where their win total is going to be, maybe 7, maybe 8 wins, but I don't think they're reaching double digits. So I think that 10 wins is going to get us past them. And then obviously the Colts are going to be a tough one. We're just going to kind of hope that they pick up some losses along the way, but we'll kind of see as the season goes. But as of right now, in my hypothetical sense, I think the Jets could squeeze into that last wild card spot with a 10-7 record. So let's say that happens. Well, then game 1, they're going to go right back to Buffalo. Right after beating the Buffalo Bills, just to get to the 10-7, they're going to have to go back to the Buffalo Bills again the following week. Now, that's going to be a really tough matchup, but to me, I feel like you kind of build confidence. And if you beat a team once, you can do it again. The Jets did do that back in, I want to say 2009. They beat the Bengals the last week of the season to get into the playoffs and then beat them again the following week. And not a lot of people expected that, and the Jets kind of made a run from that. So you never know. And if they do get past them, that would put them at the Tennessee Titans. Now, Titans are a really tough matchup, but as we already know, the Jets beat them once this year. So it's not a team that we can't beat. We're going to have to be fully prepared. Our defensive line needs to be firing on all cylinders. We have got to get to Ryan Tannehill, but it's definitely a winnable game for us. And at the time, we beat them when they did have Derrick Henry. So even if he is back, it's not a game that we can't win. And so assuming we win that game, that puts us at the Baltimore Ravens. Now, this is where the fun really starts. Now you're talking about Joe Flacco leading the New York Jets. I know this is a crazy hypothetical, but the New York Jets in the AFC Championship game with Joe Flacco versus the Baltimore Ravens, who he was with for the first 10 years of his career, and the last time the Ravens won the Super Bowl, he was the quarterback. So for him, that would be a huge game for him. And for the Ravens, they are going to want to do everything they can to prove that Lamar was the right choice and moving on from Flacco was the right choice. And so for the Jets, let's just throw everything to the wind, say magic happens, and the Jets march into Baltimore, and they come out with the W. That puts them in the Super Bowl versus the Dallas Cowboys, who are going to be coming off a nice little victory on their own right at the Packers. And I think a Jets-Cowboys Super Bowl 56 in LA sounds pretty exciting, especially for Joe Flacco, for the whole Jets organization, really. And let's just say they get it done. Let's say they get it done. The Jets beat the Dallas Cowboys, and the New York Jets are Super Bowl champions once again in Super Bowl 56. 53 years after their last Super Bowl victory and even Super Bowl appearance. It'd be super impressive. Now you may be wondering, well, what about Zach Wilson? Isn't he still important? We drafted him at number 2 overall. What are we going to do about him, especially if Joe Flacco's doing so well? Well, let's remember, Joe Flacco's 36, going to be turning 37 in, I think, January or February of this upcoming year. So he's kind of getting up there in age. And in this hypothetical scenario, let's just say the Jets re-sign him to a 3-year deal. And let's keep Zach on the bench. Not to say that's a bad thing, but if Joe Flacco is performing at a Hall of Fame level, there's a certain situation with teams that also are known for green that went through something very similar. And it's even involving a quarterback that Zach's always compared to, in Aaron Rodgers. Aaron didn't start his first 3 years he was in the league, and he's doing just fine now. Brett Favre was the quarterback at the time, and as we all know, Brett Favre's now in the Hall of Fame. And so to me, keeping Zach on the bench, if it's for a Hall of Fame reason, wouldn't matter. And Zach would continue to be able to develop, not have all that pressure, and then by the time that the Flacco story kind of ends, then there's Zach ready to go. And so, in my opinion, I think this would be best case scenario for the New York Jets. I don't necessarily think it's going to happen. Being realistic here, probably going to be 5-12, 6-11 at the end of the year. But in this hypothetical sense, there is a way for them to do it, and we as Jets fans have got to root as hard as we possibly can for the next couple of months. Because if the Jets can do it, and they can go on a win streak, who knows what's possible. And we might finally get some respect as Jets fans once and for all. As always, love you guys. JETS, 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 Jets.